Compounding, I is the interest rate per compounding period. With simple, that was a year. I said just leave it as a rate per year. We'll adjust the time into years. Okay? Here it's a little more complicated. Per compounding period, what does that mean? Because you can compound something more frequently than yearly. It could be compounded monthly. Mortgages are compounded how often?
Semi-annually.
Semi-annually, every 6 months. Okay? Maybe it's daily, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's quarterly. It's 4 times a year. N looks like a time. It's the number of compounding periods. Okay? So the example I just did there, well, that was 4% per year. Okay, it was compounded every year. And I used 5 compounding periods, or 5 years. But it's not always going to be years. Okay, so that's why we can't put here years or time. Okay? So, well, I won't write that down. Yeah, I will. So, last day, I just showed it, but let's write it now because I'm going to compare other things to it. The amount was $5,000, let's say. I had it at 6%, 0.06 for 5 years. And my future value, or the amount at maturity, okay, you can word it both ways, is $6,691.13. Does that ring a bell? I did this manually, remember? This is the one I did manually. So 5 years, simple interest, new principal each time because we're compounding the interest, right? We get interest on the interest. That's where that extra bit of money comes from. What was it, 191 or something? Okay? So what about semi-annually? Okay, so this is $5,000 at 6% compounded semi-annually. So that doesn't mean 6% every 6 months. That's a yearly rate, 6%. It's just compounded every 6 months. Okay? So they take the interest, and then they put it back on top of the principal, and then you compound it again for another 6 months. Okay? That's not 12% per year. Okay? So semi-annually, that is, again, twice a year. Okay, that's what semi-annual means. Semi means half. Half of an annum. Annum means year in Latin or something like that. Okay, twice a year. Okay, so since the investment is compounded twice a year, how did that affect these little letters here? Interest rate per compounding period, the number of compounding periods. We have N is five years, twice a year. That's how many compounding periods we have. 10 times. Every 6 months for 5 years, 10 times this thing's going to compound. 10 compounding periods. Okay? That's N. N is 10. I. Okay? the interest rate per compounding period. It's 6% a year, but twice a year that compounds. So it's like 3% every 6 months. So remember in simple interest, I said there's a way you can do it like this too. But there we just want to keep it as the yearly rate because it doesn't matter how often it compounds. Here, we want that 6-month compounding. Okay? So every 6 months, it's 3%. That's a semi-annual interest rate. Okay? So that's my changes. Now A is P1 plus R. Oh, sorry, that's I, not R. Okay? Well, N is 10. I is 3% or 0.03. So the amount is, what did I start with? 5,000. 1 plus. And let's get in the habit of just leaving it like that. I know, okay, this is 3% or 0.03. But just leave it like that. Okay? Because sometimes they're not going to round that nicely. 5.69% compounded semi-annually, 0.0569 divided by 2, and then it's going to be like 9 decimals. You really want to write them all out here? No. Okay, just leave it like that. That's I to the exponent of n is 10. Okay? Now, how do you put that in your calculator? Everyone have one of these so far yet? Yes. Okay, good. Then it's not that bad, because this thing does BEDMAS for you. Just put it in like it looks. 0.06, that's got to be a decimal, divided by 2, bracket. Where's the power button? Arrow. To the power of 10. Okay? I'm compounding 3% 10 times. Is that more money? 6719.58 than before? Because should I have some more? Yep, that was 66.91. Okay, so it's about 20 bucks more just by compounding it twice a year instead of every year. If it's your money, you want it compounding as frequently as possible. You want it compounding every hour. They don't do that, but you know, right? If it's your loan, if you're paying someone else, you don't want it compounded frequently. You'd rather have simple interest. You remember the graph we saw? Okay, you don't want to pay that. You'd rather get it. Okay? And I think I wrote it here. I think it's 28.54 more than if it were just compounded annually. Okay? Just by compounding it semi-annually, it's another 28 bucks over 5 years. Okay, you think semi-annually is the only way we're going to do this? That's right, lover boy. We're going to do it more ways than that. Monthly. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
N. Monthly. How many times a year does that happen? How many months are in a year, boys and girls?
7, 8, 9.
I don't know.
12.
Should make fun of you. N is 12. How many years was this thing for? Okay, so that's 60. What is N again? You know, the thingies, like compounding periods. Yeah, 60 times this is going to compound, right? Every month for 5 years. Okay? What's I? It's still 6%, 0.06, divided by how many times per year? This is an annual rate, right? That's per year. So if I want 6% for a year, But I need to divide that into how many months? 12 months. That's how much interest per month. Okay? Interest per what? Compounding period. Okay? Okay, that's the hard part. The rest is just plug it in the formula. A is 5,000. 1 plus 0.06 over 12 times 60. Are we expecting more money here? Yep. 6,744.25. About another 25 bucks by compounding it monthly over semi-annually. Quarterly. What does that mean? A quarter of a year is how many months? Yeah. How many days? Well, 1 quarter times 365. We don't care. Quarterly means 4 times a year, right? 4 times per, let's write annum, just so we're getting more familiar with that word. Okay? What's n? 4 times a year. How many years is this particular investment? 5 years. That's 20 times it's going to compound. That's how many compounding periods, right? I is 0.06. What portion of a year am I talking about? A quarter. What's 1 quarter of 0.06 or 0.06 divided by 4? Okay? I'm not going to write that out in the formula again. I didn't do the math, but that's the tricky part. Daily. If this is your money, is that how you'd want them to do it? You bet. The more frequently, the better. How many compounding periods would there be on a 5-year investment if I did it every day? 365 times a year times 5 years. That's a lot. Okay? What's the interest? 0.06 divided by 365. And that's pretty much it. They don't, weekly isn't something you'll ever see. Okay? Semi-annually, quarterly. Some investments pay dividends quarterly. If you're old and retired, your mortgage is paid off, you got money, you want to live off it, some people buy a piece of property, rent it out. Other people, they buy nice stocks that pay dividends, and sometimes these dividends pay quarterly. Sometimes they pay annually. You can get them to pay monthly if you want. Okay? They're called distributions. You live off this stuff. Okay? So that's it for the formula. There's something else here. The rule of 72. It's just a quick little estimate. It's one of the learning outcomes. Someone deemed it to be quite important. That's why we're teaching it. What kind of mark you want, Joe? Huh?
Oh.
Estimation for investment. You know, part of the GS&N for your grades does say something about having a positive attitude. I know. Just let me know. Estimation for investment to double. That's what it is. Some people, especially when they invest in the stock market, they want to know when their money doubles. I put in 10 grand and okay, frequently it doesn't. Frequently you lose it all. Okay, I don't want to make it sound like the stock market is a piece of cake. Okay, it's not. But does it make sense that if you put in 10 grand and your money doubles, I'll just take out my 10,000 again, then I've lost nothing and the rest is free? Right? That's quite common. Kind of an old rule of thumb. If your money doubles, take out half of it, you got exactly what you put in. The rest is just gravy. Okay? So sometimes people want to know, when does that double? This is the rule of 72. Okay? So divide the interest rate into 72 to get the time in years to double. That's all it is. Okay, quick little example. It just works, it's just math. Okay, if I get 7.2% on my money, how many years will it take to double? Divide it into 72. It'll take 10 years to double. Okay? What if I get a higher rate? I'm going to pick better stocks than that guy. I'm going to get 12%. How many times does 12 go into 72? I'm going to double my money every 6 years. Just like clockwork. Okay? Because I'm so smart. I'm not even going to work. It's easy. Guy told me on the internet I could do it. Okay? We don't need any more of those?
No.
Okay. Same thing. If they give you the time to double, I want to double my money in, I don't know, I'm going to be safe. I want to double my money in 12 years. Well, just divide it into